You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. welcoming you to another lap of the extra mile for the final lap in 2023 on November 9th, 2023. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is all over. The championships have been decided. The hardware has been handed out. And now it's time to bring it in for a cool down lap. And to help me through this, of course, my co-host, Michael Ward.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Checkered flag episode. Been a real one. Once again, we've had some incredible moments, some forgettable moments. But once again, I am glad to be sharing one more season with you guys. One more lap around the world with you. And to bring it all in, I am just so glad to be here tonight.
If you're in the chat, make sure to get your comments in. We'll read them as the show goes on. Taryn Rodriguez already in the chat. Says, good evening, gentlemen. One last ride together. Thank you so much, Taryn. And it is one last ride. The funny thing is, gonna start the show, nothing's wrong. All of a sudden, nose starts acting up. But we're all good. We'll go ahead and get into the show. Before we get started, I got to do something really fun over the weekend. I got to go to the Haltech World Cup Finals in Mechanicsville, Maryland with my day job, Southern Maryland News. And you may have seen my posts on DK Jr. 12 on Twitter, now known as X. And Michael, I would say I had a real fun time. Got to see some unique cars go down the quarter mile. We did see the fastest Pro Mod run of all time get run on Sunday night. The one thing I will say about that race, though, is time is not on their side when it comes to how many cars they run on Sunday. They started the first round at 10. They didn't get to the second round until 4 p.m.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it was not fun. My fellow writer at the paper, who was writing for that race, did not leave the track until 11:47.
My goodness.
It was a late night, but it was a lot of fun. I got to go 3 of the 5 days. I do plan on going next year, probably back as a, for lack of a better word, a civilian again, but it was a lot of fun to see some good drag racing, and it's exciting times in the drag racing world in the DMV because the Virginia Nats NHRA competition returns next year in a race that should have never left the area, but NHRA had 2 gaps on the schedule to fill, and Virginia Nats is one of them.
Yep, that sounds like a lot of fun for you, Daryl.
Yeah, I won't be able to go this year, but I hope I can go year after next. Because I got some things I got to take care of in 2024, so I will not be able to go to the race next year.
That's understandable. Always take care of what you have to do.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into what we have to do tonight, which is pretty much do a post-mortem on the 2023 International Racing season. We can get started with NASCAR because we were talking about that before we came on the break. Before we came on to start the show. Ryan Blaney finishes second, but it was good enough to win the race. Or not to win the race, to win the championship on Sunday. He takes home the Bill France Cup. Ross Chastain ends up winning that race. And Chastain and Blaney, they had some tough racing against each other. And Michael, if you've been following the news this week, NASCAR kind of had to get involved because the spotters apparently were getting pretty testy with each other during that race.
Oh, I bet that they were racing each other pretty hard. And I don't know. If I was Blaney, I wouldn't be racing that hard with the championship on the line. But I kind of understand where he was coming from. So, yeah.
First,
go ahead.
First time in a decade we have not seen the championship leader win the final race of the season.
Man, that's saying something.
Kyle Larson, William Byron, Christopher Bell round out your championship four. Unfortunately, Christopher Bell blew a brake rotor during the race and put him out, ending Toyota's chances of winning a championship. And Michael, it just feels like Toyota, for whatever reason, they are not suited to Phoenix, which is probably one of the negatives of this system with the one race.
Yeah.
Where it kind of matters about how you are at this track.
Yeah. I mean, like, I just want the final race to be at Homestead, to be honest with you.
That's kind of where I want it.
Yeah, because it's like Homestead, I felt like everybody who's in the Final Four had a good shot at winning.
Yeah. In Homestead, it was more wide open, and it was about the driver's skill. When you get to Phoenix, it's more about, okay, who's good at here, who's not.
Yeah.
Which, we had a better Phoenix race than most, but they've got to find a way to get this back to Homestead.
Yeah, it needs to be back at Homestead. I mean, you had everything about Homestead screams, yeah, this should be the final race. You got the race starting and the dawn of night. I'm sorry, the dusk of night. And then it turns into a night race. You have multi-groove racing. Nice wide open throttle racing. Multi-groove, 3-wide racing.
I mean, that afternoon to night transition hits different when it's the last race of the season.
Yeah.
Like, it really, truly hits different when this is it.
Yep. And it suits the car, too, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's one of the best tracks for this car. We saw it starting the round of 8. They did that race that they ran to start the round of 8 this year was incredible. Much better than last year's race, which was the first one with this car at this track. But the drivers figured it out. They put on a fantastic race in Homestead. This Phoenix I get it. They put all that money in for the maintenance and the rebuild, but this just doesn't. It's not it.
It can be a playoff race, but I think Homestead should be the final, definitive race.
Especially when you decided we're not going to have practice anymore, so now all the upgrades you did are pointless.
Yep.
Because the point of those upgrades are to see them working during practice. When practice is 15 minutes, they don't even come back to the box. So what is the point?
Yeah, we just need to make it petition to make Phoenix the final race again. Let's make it happen, everybody.
You mean Homestead?
Homestead, my bad. Phoenix can be like the round of 16 or something like that.
Yeah. Ford actually sweeps the championships with Cole Custer winning the Xfinity Series championship on Saturday. I don't know if you saw the end of that race, but coming off turn 2, off the final restart, the championship 4 wide for the chip. That is everything you want in a championship finale. And then we had the trucks, which is the crux of what we're going to talk about in a little bit. That, I'm going to be honest, that was the worst truck series race I have seen in my life.
Oh my goodness.
I've never seen driving standards in a NASCAR touring series as bad as that truck series race. Maybe the Atlanta Super Speedway race with Xfinity, where it took them 2 hours to finish stage 2. That is the only race that compares to how horrible that was. Mikey Two Guns in the chat says he needs to get up to Loudon, New Hampshire for a race over here in these parts. Never been to a race before. Sir, you owe it to yourself to go see him at least once. Or even go down to Pocono if you can make that drive. You will not regret it going to see NASCAR. And Larry B also in the chat saying you guys are amazing. Thank you so much, sir. It's been a wonderful season that we are wrapping up, but we will be back in 2024. I have to figure out that date because the original date I had is my birthday, so we will figure that out. But back to what when I was talking about. You had all 4 championship contenders get into a wreck. You had half the field wrecking each other. Corey Heim, who should be suspended for the first 3 races of next season, destroys Carson Hocevar after an accident when Hocevar didn't do it intentionally. The car got tight because he was racing for a championship. He lost control, ended up getting into Corey Heim, and Heim wrecks him, which cost Grant Enfinger the championship. And that's kind of what has started the whole conversation about, we don't like the one championship. Or we don't like the one race championship. It should be a full season again. No. Because you want to know why I don't think we should go back to the full season championship. Let's go look at what's going on in Formula One right now. We have 3 races left in that schedule. The championship was decided. Actually, no. We have 2 races now. The championship was decided 4 races ago. We've
in a
had
sprint race.
What? Right? Wasn't even in the Grand Prix. Taryn, as far as nearest the win, we kind of lost track of the points.
Yeah, we will make sure to get nearest the win situated next year.
Yeah, we're gonna get that situated for next year. I can go off the last recorded that we had, and that would have given the champion. That would actually give the championship to Matt White. The last totals we had at 320. Chris was at 387. I was at 393. Taryn, you were at 346, and Michael, you didn't have a good start of the season. You were 404.
Yeah, I didn't.
404 championship not fan. We will do a much better job of keeping up those points next year, by the way. Just want to apologize for that. But back to what I was saying. IndyCar, their championship was realistically decided in June. Was officially decided, the race before Las Vegas. These championships, say what you will about NASCAR, you had intrigue into all 10 races going into the final in NASCAR, which you did not have in Formula One or IndyCar. Or really any series other than IMSA that we watched this year.
Yeah.
So, I'm not getting into the hate parade over the playoffs. You know, it's not a conversation I'm going to have. TV and NASCAR want to make these last 10 races matter. They matter. Unfortunately, also during this time, people's television habits have changed. Cord cutting becoming a massive thing. A lot of people not watching TV either because they're cutting away due to economic factors. What I will say is a lot of those tracks that didn't have people at them last year had people at them this year. So your TV ratings are going down, but people are going to the racetrack. So something's right. And that's how I view it. Michael, what do you think?
It's kind of weird to say, honestly, because I do think the driver who has been, the most that has performed the most deserves
Mm-hmm.
the championship. But at the same time, it's like, like in Formula One, we have 26 races?
Mm-hmm.
26 races, and at some point, if a driver and team is good enough, the rest of the races will not matter. It's like, well, why, tune in for the, season finale then? And it's like you want the season and the final race to actually mean something. You don't want it to just be a season to forget and that, people won't watch because a driver is dominating or, the championship was decided, I don't know, in Talladega or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I get both sides. In my opinion, I just think the best driver wins. That's all I care about.
Well, and the thing when people were referencing as well, Truex didn't win the championship, so it's a fake championship. My brothers and sisters in Christ, Martin Truex Jr. sucked for the last 9 races of this season. That's why he didn't win the championship. His best finish of the playoffs was 6th on Sunday. He won the regular season points championship. He had 15 extra points. Michael, do you remember his first 3 races in the first 3 races of the playoffs?
Nah, I don't actually.
18th, 36th, 19th. He did not have a finish in the top 10 until Las Vegas, when he was already out of the championship. Martin Truex Jr. did not deserve to win that championship because he was terrible in the last 10. And what have I said since this championship has been decided? You have to have a great 36, not a great 26 or 20 or however, because that first 26 is going to get you there. The last 10 are going to decide where you finish. Truex had a horrible playoffs. He finished 11th. Under this system, that is where he deserved to finish. And guess what? He had the advantage, and that's all he could muster. 2 top 10s in the last 10 races. I'm not crying any tears for him. He had a chance. That's on him. So I'm not really interested in entertaining the conversations about the playoffs anymore. And for the love of God, when we get to 2024, leave if this was an XYZ system in 2023, no one cares. It is a pointless exercise because these drivers wouldn't be racing the same way. That's what I got to say about that. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of our favorite moments of the NASCAR season, and then we're going to get into Formula One. And all I can say is, you'll have to come back on the other side of the break to hear that. You're listening to The Extra Mile here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We're back here on Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your feed for all that is sports. It is the season finale of the Extra Mile. Daryl and Michael here with you this evening, and we are here to talk about now some of our favorite moments from the NASCAR season. And Michael, I would say all in all, pretty fun season.
Yeah, it's been a really fun season for NASCAR. I think there were a lot of great moments. What are some of your favorite moments, Daryl?
I think my favorite race this year ended up being the Chicago Street Course.
Oh, yeah, ironically, that's the same for me.
And I think that's more because of how the weather played into that and just how that we got that finish with Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah.
Taking the win there. That was completely unexpected and awesome, and I really hope people give that race a chance next year. Obviously, we write off 2023 as a wash. They did change the length of the races for next year, but 2023, as far as whether or not this is going to work, is a wash because that was a 100-year storm they got. Like, I think they got like a year's worth of rain dumped in like a weekend. We'll try it next year when the weather should be, well, if it rains, it shouldn't be as bad, you know?
Right. But if it does,
well, you know, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is kind of low-hanging fruit, but seeing Travis Pastrana at the Daytona 500 was really cool. Getting to see him cross that off the bucket list. The retirement year of Kevin Harvick, we thought was going to be much better, but Stuart Haas just could not give them the cars. Could not give him the cars to make that special, or what people really wanted to see, which was a victory.
Yeah, one last victory.
Yeah,
but
you know what I can say?
Couldn't get it. What can you say?
I was at Kevin Harvick's last career win.
Oh yeah, you were.
Richmond 2022. I was there.
Well,
So I
at
can
least you
actually say that.
At least you can say you witnessed this last one.
Yep. The obviously Auto Club Speedway, Kyle Busch silencing the doubters on whether or not the partnership with RCR was going to be a good thing. Although RCR, their reputation right now is not that great.
Yeah.
But what I will say about the NASCAR season is it was not predictable in the slightest.
No.
Because you never really knew who was like on top as far as the championship pecking order. You know, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won Daytona, which Daytona is Daytona. The real season started at Auto Club. Kyle Busch wins that. You think, oh, Kyle Busch is just going to go on a revenge tour. He doesn't win again until the Geico 500 in April. Between there, you have William Byron win 2 races and then fall off. Kyle Larson wins 2 of the 4 races in April, then falls off. Doesn't win another one. Doesn't win another points race until the round of 16 at Darlington. Michael McDowell wins at the Brickyard Road Course. Chris Buescher wins 3 of the last 5 to go into the playoffs and then does absolutely nothing. So you really never knew this year who was going to be that top dog going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the beauty of this system. You don't really know who's going to be the winner.
No. But I think what really surprised me this year was just how bad Stuart Haas was.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them, and I don't know if they'll ever recover.
I mean,
they
they
don't
won.
have that veteran. They don't have that veteran driver anymore.
No, I mean Eric Almirola won in the second Blue Greens Vacation duel, and that was it for any wins for them in Cup. Meanwhile, RFK kind of rose to the top, along with Penske coming back around as they win the championship with the 12. But it's really weird how Stuart Haas is just falling apart.
Yeah, and it's crazy because they were the definitive Ford team.
Yep. Mike, were there any other teams that
I'm surprised I'm surprised we're not talking about 2311.
they had a good year.
I think they've had their best year actually.
Statistically, yes. Both drivers finished in the top 10. Reddick got some wins. Bubba was real close, but he had some pit road snafus, and they did not have a great summer like they did last year. But
both cars made it into the playoffs.
And both cars finished in the top 10 in the playoffs, or in the top 10 in points as well.
So I think they had a fantastic year, if you were to ask me.
I think you can call it a success.
I think they had a fantastic year.
Yeah, you can call it a success, and I think the goal next year, both cars with multiple wins.
I think that is the goal next year.
And I think that is attainable, the way this team runs.
Yeah, because I think both drivers at the end of the season showed they had some real pace. And if they can transfer that pace to next year, they might be some contenders again.
On the other side, Trackhouse, they took a step back this year. And yeah, the one made the championship or made the playoffs. Didn't go that far. They did end up winning the last race. Daniel Suarez was nowhere this year.
Yeah.
You know, last year he wins Sonoma, and you think this is the start of him about to pop off, and nothing of the sort happened.
So let me ask you this: if he continues to perform mediocrely, do you think he gets replaced at Trackhouse?
I don't think he gets replaced only because Pitbull is a part owner over there, and Pitbull is and Daniel Suarez is a big reason for why Pitbull is over there. So I think he's got a job over there as long as he wants it. Problem is he's got to be better.
Yeah, and he's capable of doing better.
Yeah, we know he is.
Yeah.
So he's got to do better. I thought Colleague Racing was going to be better. We all thought AJ Allmendinger was just going to come back and be completely resurgent, and he didn't do anything of note in the next gen car. He is going back to Xfinity, and he's going back to Xfinity, and I don't know. They're going to have Daniel Hemrick and Ty Dillon in the cars next year. I don't know what that means for them, but Colleague Racing, we thought this was going to be a breakout year. It was a big step back year.
Yeah, it definitely was a big step back.
Yeah. And I think that's a team we're going to be watching to see what they do next year and where they can recover. My big question going into 2024. When is Harrison Burton going to do something? He's been running in that Wood Brothers car for a couple of years now. He finished 31st in points this year. Of the drivers that ran the entire year, the only drivers that ran worse than him was Ty Dillon. And that's drivers that made 36 starts. He was pretty good in Xfinity. But this year, in truck or in a cup, career low in top fives, had the same number of top tens, had a worse average finish, a worse average start than 2022. I know that there weren't that many expectations on him, but when is, he had the 4 wins in 2020 in Xfinity, and that's pretty much it for his career as far as a high point. He had the 10 top 5s and 22 top 10s in 2021, but after that, got to Cup. Nothing has happened for him. And my question is, when is he going to start proving anything, to be honest, about whether or not he should be in that ride? Because at this point, Ford could be using it to develop somebody else.
You are right about that.
I think next year is put up or shut up for the 21.
I'd agree with you.
You got any drivers you're looking at for next year?
Honestly, it's still 23-11. I want to see if they can continue the momentum they had coming from this year.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think I've stalled long enough. Let's talk about Formula One.
Oh boy,
we're gonna spare you the race commentary because it's just gonna be Michael and I swearing for 20 minutes. Here's what you need to know.
Verstappen wins again.
That's all you need to know. Also, the ridiculous storm that came in during qualifying, because oh my god, that was terrifying.
It was terrifying, but it made for some cool shots.
Yeah. Formula One has a problem, and it's lack of competition.
Yeah, big lack of competition.
And it's not
And
and it's not just a problem because it's not Mercedes doing it, because I said it during the Mercedes years.
uh
Hell, it's not even a problem from this decade. Probably, Michael, as long as you and I have been the 90s, we did have, there were like 2 or 3 teams that were like consistently up front battling. Something happened during the V10 era and the turn of the century, and after that, it's just one team shellacking everybody, outside of notable exceptions.
yeah, and I think it's mostly due to we try to make the racing closer, and somebody finds a way to excrete a little bit more pace out of the car.
And then they're just
And
gone.
yep, and they're just gone. And then now we're back to playing catch up. And then the other team's got to figure out playing catch up. By the time we finish playing catch up, it's time for the regulations to change, and it's time for somebody else to figure out, how to get more performance out of that car.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And next year might not be any better because Red Bull has come out and said we didn't have to worry about development that much with this car, obviously. And they said they have fully began developing the RB20. So the RB20 might be even faster than the RB19.
Yep.
And if all these teams can't catch up, we are going to hear do 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 Max Verstappen all the way to 2026. I do not want to hear that man's name for the next 3 years.
It's not going to be fun, I'll tell you that much. And it wouldn't be for the fact that it's just been it hasn't even been competitive.
No.
At least with Mercedes, Ferrari was always there until Ferrari would inevitably beans it up.
Yeah, I mean, at least they tried.
Yeah. But this has just been not fun.
Unless you're a Red Bull fan, then it's been the best season ever.
Yep. We could go into what teams should be better. The entire grid except for Red Bull.
The entire grid needs to do better.
But
we can go down to like the top 5 teams, like Mercedes. You gotta work on that car, man. You really gotta, because
if that car doesn't perform next year, Toto Wolff should be fired.
That is a hot take.
I don't think it's
that's not even a hot take. That is a Carolina Reaper take.
I don't even think it's a hot take.
That is the man that's won them like all of these championships so far.
Okay, what have they done since 2021? The supposed revenge tour.
They won a race.
A race. This is supposed to be the revenge tour for having the championship stolen from them for political nonsense. If it wasn't for Ferrari and Aston Martin immolating, they would be 4th in the standings right now. They are in the same spot with with less points in the constructor standings than they had last year.
And they didn't compete very well in the race. They weren't anywhere this in Brazil. Whereas last year they actually managed to finish 1-2. So it makes me wonder, like, what happened during the development process? Because last year they managed to get at least some good performances out of that car.
Well, last year they had 515 points. This year they have 382. Ferrari could still jump them before the end of this year.
That's not going to happen, but
I don't know. As badly as Mercedes has been, they might.
And Las Vegas is like a very straight line speed track, so I don't know, they might. But I They need to do better next year. They really do, because nobody wants to see, except for Red Bull fans, they don't want to see Red Bull go on a tear all the way to 2026.
Well, not only that, you are wasting what's left of Lewis Hamilton's prime.
Yeah.
Like what?
And when he goes, who else do you have?
Well, Russell's already shown he's not up to the task.
And that's another thing. What's going on with Russell?
Pushing too hard. He's trying to be the number one. Dude, you're not going to be the number one over there. Not until Lewis leaves. He won them 7 championships. He is the number one. You are the number 2. Drive like it.
At least, I don't know. I listened to a video from, I think it was Perspective today, and it talks about how the perspective of George Russell has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when he was in Williams, he was lovable. Everybody loved him. Everybody hoped for the best future for him. And then when he got to the Mercedes seat, the mentality towards him changed. And it's something about I'm sorry to cut you off. And it's something about getting to those top 4 seats in Formula One where everybody is putting a lot of pressure on them.
The expectations change.
Yes.
And he hasn't lived up to it.
And it makes me wonder, was he ready to make that leap?
No.
Should he have stayed at Williams for a little bit?
I don't think...
Because it's really hard to... I'm sorry to cut you off again. It's really hard to say when a driver is ready to make that leap.
The thing is, when he got into the car in 2020 and nearly won the race, that's when everybody... when they ran Bahrain the second time. Everybody just pushed it, everything just sped up on his timeline.
Yeah. And I think, I really think he just needs time to develop, but he also needs to let himself develop.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, my big thing is Formula One can't continue this way. And God only knows how this Las Vegas race is going to go. I don't know if I'm going to be watching.
I don't think I will, because to be honest with you, the track just kind of looks like a DRS fest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of tired of hearing did all the time. I don't know. If this continues to next year, I might just drop Formula One altogether.
Yeah. It's got to be better. It just has to be better.
And I'll say what everybody else doesn't want to hear, BOP, spec car. I know everybody doesn't want to hear it, but,
Formula One needs... Here's a molten hot take. Formula One needs BOP. I'm just going to say it.
Well, no, Daryl, it's an engineer's playground. It doesn't.
I don't care. I want to see a good race. And we have not seen a good race since... God, what was the race before Saudi Arabia 2021, but I think it was Mexico. That is the last time we had a great race in Formula One.
And then it's funny, if you say that, then people are going to be like, well, that week, Lewis Hamilton's car was better than Max. And then the next week, Max's car is going to be better than Lewis.
They flip-flopped number 1 most of that season. Sorry, it was Qatar. That was before that. It was Qatar. Then Saudi Arabia, and then we know what happened in Abu Dhabi.
So
yeah, that's where I am.
I don't know how you make the racing better, but we'll see.
BOP. That's how you make it better. And now that I've upset completely everyone in Formula One, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back.
You might not want to log on Twitter, by the way.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get flamed in my mentions, but we'll take a little break. We will come back, talk IndyCar and sports cars, and wrap up the 2023 season. Sit tight. It's the season finale episode of The Extra Mile here on iSports Radio, your feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, the Tires Live.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. They are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
White flag segment of the 2023 season of the Extra Mile. Gerald Michael here with you here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports to end the season. And we'll get into IndyCar and sports car racing. We'll start with IndyCar. That was a fun season, and what surprised me about IndyCar is Alex Palou stamped his seat to be the heir apparent to Scott Dixon, and I think he's finally given up on those Formula One dreams. So I think he's going to be sticking around for a while.
Yeah, and you know what we're seeing here is truly something special. So I definitely hope he sticks around, and I hope somebody figures out or puts in the work in the simulator to try to compete with him.
And hopefully we can we are past the lawsuits. A lot of lawsuits in driver transactions in IndyCar that we're used to in the most recent years, which we had 2 this year. Usually we have none. It's like really weird. My hot take for 2024 is Alex Palou will not have a lawsuit based on a driver transfer or attempted driver transfer next year. Because apparently that is a hot take that you can make. And of course, the Indy 500, what else is there to say about it? You know, we've had a decade and closing in on a decade and a half of bangers from the greatest spectacle in racing. And the 108th running is next year, and I'm sure we'll have another banger. Because that's just what the race is now. Which no one is complaining because it's awesome.
Yep.
So, Michael, what were some of your favorite moments from the IndyCar season?
Honestly, I think it's just witnessing how great of a driver Palou actually is, you know? Because that is a spec series, and he's just dominating.
Taryn asked, will we have an off-the-track controversy next year? If we're talking about IndyCar, I almost expect it at this point. And we probably will. And it's going to be either Formula One or IndyCar that has it. I don't think it's going to come from NASCAR, but it's definitely going to come from F1, I think, just with how political things are.
Yeah. F1 is in a really weird place right now, if you were to ask me.
Yep. Which, it's unfortunate. But on the other side, WEC, they just wrapped up. That was an incredible season.
Yeah, it was a very fun season.
You know, even with, which we expected the Toyota domination, but that's going to change, I think, now that everybody's gotten time to get to grips with their hypercar in WEC. They will definitely Ferrari. I think they're going to be a car to watch next year as far as
the
challenging them.
Ferrari team.
Yes. Well, except for what happened last year. I mean, not happened last year. Happened at Bahrain. Did you see that? The two Ferraris fighting?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, they got a little Ferrari F1 there.
Yeah, but I think they were, they were told they can race.
Yeah,
they
but
raced all right.
the problem is, though, they ran each other off the track.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want to see in any sort of racing.
Yeah, I think after that race, they definitely need to work on their team building skills.
What's mainly Buemi.
Sebastian Buemi's in the Ferrari?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you can hear him on the radio every week. Or not. Let me make sure I got the same driver.
I'm pretty sure Buemi races for Toyota.
Hold on. I may have gotten
Yeah,
it
he
wrong.
definitely races for Toyota.
Okay, I got to find out which one was the...
Giovinazzi?
No, there's someone on that team that is known as the Welcher. I'll find out who it is in a moment. But yeah, Buemi is definitely a radio sweetheart over there. But, Michael, while I'm looking for this, talk a little about Le Mans 24. You know, Ferrari did get to pick that one up.
They did pick that one up, and it was their first Le Mans win, which was really incredible. And that was one of the best races I've ever seen, actually.
That
It
was a
had
24.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that 24-hour definitely lived up to the hype.
It had everything you could have ever wanted in a I said Formula One race. In a motor race in general.
Mm-hmm.
You had the spectacle, the centennial race. You had rain. You had drama. You had a freaking NASCAR Cup car down the Mulsanne Street.
That was the funniest thing of the whole racing year, I think. Just the fascination in Europe over the Garage 56 Camaro.
And they might have messed around and unlocked a whole new branch of NASCAR. That Cup car can come over there in a few years.
I would love to see the Cup car get those upgrades.
Now imagine the Cup cars racing in Silverstone.
I'd watch it.
Shoot, I would too.
I think I was thinking of... I'm either thinking of Giovinazzi or Pierre Guidi.
I think it was Pierre Guidi.
Yeah.
But
so now I figured that out.
That race was incredible, and it had so much interaction, so much racing, and so much joy from the fans. And I feel like that race showed what a lot of other sports are lacking. It's lacking what it feels like to be in a motor race.
Well, it's lacking. A lot of them are lacking the drama. Or I don't want to say the drama, but lacking in just genuine excitement over the product.
Yeah. I felt like I was actually there.
Yes.
When the rain came down and everybody was like scrambling to get back to the garage to put on wets. When LMP2 hit a Toyota, when Ryo Hirakawa messed up to chicane and lost the race,
mm-hmm.
when the Ferrari almost didn't start back up. If you haven't seen the 2023 24 Hours of Le Mans, do give that race a watch. It's 24 hours, I know, but there are highlights. If you want if you want to see why we watch motorsports, watch the highlights of that race.
And you can watch the full race. It's on the WEC's YouTube. You can watch it on there as well.
One more thing, IMSA, Petit Le Mans, 1 hour to go. Wayne Taylor Racing Action Express. Was it Action Express? Yeah, it's
yes.
Action Express. 2 cars went into the corner, 1 came out.
Sports car racing definitely has the drama on lock, and next year is going to be even more incredible. We have Alpine coming into WEC. We've got Aston Martin coming into WEC, and then soon they're going to be coming into IMSA as well.
And Lamborghini is in both.
Yep, you got Lamborghini coming through. You've got, I cannot pronounce their name, but the other Italian team.
Yep, they're going to be in it. I think if you guys are bored of Formula One, definitely give endurance racing a shot.
We definitely will. But that's it.
That's it.
The
Checkered flag.
The 2023 racing season is over. At least unofficially. Formula One continues for a couple of more weeks, but we're not going to be going on with that.
Yep.
This is the end for now. It's been an incredible season, and we cannot wait. We'll be back in January to do this whole thing again. Michael, I want to thank you for being with us this season. I know Chris had to go back to the field with his job, but I want to thank him for being a part of this season, and we'll all be back together in 2024 and do it again.
Always.
So as always, if you want to find us on Twitter, I'm at DKJr12. Michael's at Michael_Wart25. Check out The Extra Mile on Twitter and TikTok as well. Make sure to follow the iSports Radio pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. If you missed any episode of any iSports Radio show, you can check them out on the website, anywhere you can get your podcast, as well as YouTube Repository, which has a copy of every episode we've ever done. And while you're over there, check out iesportsradio.com, learn more about your show host, learn about all the shows in iSports Radio, pick yourself up some merch, and more. Well, that'll be the checkered flag in 2023. The Extra Mile is complete. For Michael, I'm Daryl. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you for the next green flag in 2024. Good night, everybody.